game easily. BTB, who's feeling the same? Everything that we speak is building a flame. It sparks from the beat, so remember the name. From the bars that we bring, who's killing the game easily. BTB, who's feeling the same?
All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Bring the Bars podcast. This is episode 61, and I'm joined by actually the podcast of the year award winner, R.A.P. How you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, man? I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I've talked to you earlier, but we're going to be talking about your Karis Rhythmic EP. Great job. You guys did a hell of a job on this thing. It's been, about a week since it's been released. How has the feedback been, and how are you feeling looking back on it now?
Yeah, so it released November 16th. I don't know, it's been good and bad. It's kind of like bittersweet kind of thing because like I always like to meticulously plan my albums and stuff like that. And I just had it wasn't even the process, it was just getting everything done took so long for no reason whatsoever. And then there were just like a hiccup every time we started making a small amount of progress and stuff, So it's nice that the album is out, and I'm really happy that it's out because I don't have to like focus on that anymore. And now I could focus on other things and stuff because I have super dope stuff coming up next year for everybody. But it was nice to put this album out with Mr. Rhythmic because we've been friends for a long time. So for him to actually have like a fully produced album out is really, really big. Obviously, exactly. I obviously wanted to put another album out. I always want to put albums out and stuff too. Yeah, like the feedback's been pretty good and stuff. Like I'm surprised because I guess, they always say like you don't really like your own voice sometimes when you record and like stuff like that. I was like, I have a couple songs I actually don't like at all, which I won't mention because I don't want to give people reasons not to listen to any of the songs. But yeah, like I've had feedback of people listening from like start to finish and telling me that, I did a good job on it. It actually makes me feel better because like I could hear all the issues like throughout the album and stuff,
Okay. You're saying like a couple songs, you don't have to mention them, like you said, that you weren't feeling too much. Did you get good feedback on those songs you weren't feeling that kind of made you go like, oh shit, maybe I should re-listen to this? Or
and ironically, like there was one song that I didn't particularly like, and I recorded I think at least 2 or 3 times. And after I got some feedback on it, like after I released the album, I actually now have it in my playlist. Like when I go to work and like I'm opening up in the morning, counting my cash and my till and shit, I'll put that song on. I'll be like, yeah, you know what? Like I do like this, but I don't know. I guess it's really surprising when you put music out there, especially like an album too, because then you're just casting a wide net, right? And try to catch something and like well, I guess the perfect example would be like ice fishing. Like not a lot of people would maybe not understand this, but like you drill a bunch of holes, right? You put a bunch of lines and stuff in the holes, and then one fishing rod you put like way over there that you don't think is going to catch anything ends up catching the biggest fish, and that ends up being the biggest song, right? And it's like, what the hell?
That's not showing that it's 2 Canadians talking right now. I don't know what would.
Yeah, it's true. It's just like ice fishing, man. Like
yeah. Whose idea was the EP? You said you and Mr. Rhythmic have been friends for a while. Did you guys talk about it? Did he hit you up? How did this whole concept come about?
Well, actually, in March of last year, I moved the guy in with me, so we all live together now.
Okay.
But so this is crazy. So if you listen to the album, I think the first 6 songs were made like a long time ago when he first started making beats and stuff. And then the Sudbury Slam Sessions Volume 2 and the Scary Door are newer beats that he made. So you could kind of see the progression like going through everything. But yeah, like those songs for that album were sitting in my Dropbox for like a billion years. And ironically, there was 8 songs there at the time, with 2 other songs I had to end up replacing. But there was 8 songs there, and I'm like, dude, why don't we just make an EP with this? Like, I want, and I'm also going to be planning in the future to be making like an 8-track EP with just like specifically Blue Light Fever as well. Um, but yeah, I just wanted to do it so that we're able to make something together and create together,
Mm.
and also that it boosts his like perception of what he's doing. You know, like it gives his it gives his ego a little bit of like a fist bump, like, hey man, like good job, you
Yeah.
know. You
And
know,
just
and
adds to his resume as well, you know, getting stuff
exactly,
out there.
exactly, and it's cool too because like every time I release an album, I always do the physical copies and stuff too, right? And I always get a framed copy of the album every single time, so I'll just have it framed, throw it up there.
I saw his
Um,
post on that actually.
yeah, so it actually made me really, really happy to be able to give him like a
That was
copy,
dope.
because like that's at this point it's not only my baby, it's also his baby as well, and it's
Yeah.
like it's really, really cool to share that with somebody like in person, because like I've done that with with Automatic, for example, and it's really cool the project that we made for the EP, but we can't like bond in person like over it.
Yeah.
I've never met Automatic in real life, but you know, still love the guy, but I just can't have like the same, I guess, like outcome at the end of everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially working side by side. Like me and you as well never worked side by side, even though we're not that far from each other. We got to do that one day.
We gotta fix that. We gotta fix that for sure.
We'll link up in Sudbury, man.
I'm down.
And it's funny you were saying at the beginning how they were older beats and how it kind of got newer and you saw the progression. I can see that as well. But that first track, the beat, Bonkers, G Bones, you like that's incredible. Probably my favorite track on the whole album. Way to kick off the album. And I know you're a huge fan of G Bones just from your Tune In Tuesday show. How was it to finally get G Bones on a feature with R.A.P?
It was pretty cool, but like it's so weird how everything happened because so I I subtly tried to do kind of like an UK accent for for my verse on Bonkers. So why like some words I'm pronouncing differently than I normally pronounce them and stuff like that. So I was like, definitely, I'm like, I want somebody from the UK on this. And then that's at the time that I was, I think, like 5 episodes into the Tune In Tuesday review show. And yeah, G Bones was on it every week, and I loved his music so much. And I'm like, because of the style of the beat, and because I wanted like a UK based artist and stuff like that. Like G Bones was literally perfect. He came into my life perfectly at the right time. It was perfect, man, because like he has that quickness that I was looking for, along with the wittiness and the really good like bar construction, and just the delivery and stuff. Like literally, he ticked every single box, and I was so pumped to have him like on the song with me.
Yeah, G Bones is incredible. Shout out to him, man. You couldn't have picked a better UK feature, in my opinion. It's funny how you had a plan for a UK feature, and then G Bones just kind of walked into your life, you know?
I wasn't too sure what I was gonna do there, and then yeah, like literally it was just right in front of me every week for 5 weeks. And I'm like, buddy, like,
I got something.
yeah.
That's dope, man. And onto your second track. We'll kind of break down each track a little bit here, but your second track features Kevin Jackson, Just Pat, and Reach, which I found a little funny because of what the topic this track is about. And I know a little bit of the falling out with Reach. What made you keep him on that track, especially with what the track's talking about too, you know?
Well, first of all, it's just ironic, so that's why I kept it. I kept it there. I'm a huge fan of irony at the end of the day, you know. And at you know, he was originally supposed to be on Sudbury Slam sessions as well, and he just never got his verse back to me. And at one point, it was just like, listen, man, like I had decided originally that I wanted this album to come out in September, and then he was like pushing it back, and I was like, I really need that verse, and if not, I'm gonna replace you. I was like, just tell me honestly, like, you know,
Yeah.
if you can't do it, you can't do it, and that's fine. That's cool, whatever. And I'll find somebody else. It's not a big deal. But if you keep like pushing it off and then blah 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 whatever, then it's not gonna work out, and I'm obviously gonna be really pissed off. But anyway, so I kept him on there because I thought it was ironic. It was funny. I don't really have respect for him as a person, but I still believe in him as an artist.
Yeah.
He's still like a decent artist, so I left him on the album. Um, and as much as it's ironic of what he talks about in his verse and what he ended up doing with the fallout with the label and everything, he still killed his verse anyway. So
Yeah, you
yeah.
got to give him props on it, no matter how you feel about it.
Yeah, it was still a really really good verse, and at the end of the day, all of us as artists when we're creating, like I I I don't know, in a situation like this it'd be pretty hard, but like if I worked hard on making a verse or whatever, a beat, I would like it to still be out, like
Yeah. I know exactly what you're feeling like when you say with features too, sending you like you're waiting for it, you're waiting for it. With me working on Global Domination, there's a few tracks where luckily the artist would tell me like at first, yes, I can do it, and then a week or two later, like, sorry, man, I can't get it done. So they gave me time to replace it. But and then no harm, no foul. I'm still hooked up with these artists. It's just it's nice when they can tell you like I can't do it. So at least like I can find somebody to replace you. Like I had a few replacements on Global Domination too, for sure.
yeah. Well, that's what ends up happening. I'm going to tell you right now that I have. Sorry, I'm just trying to set up my camera better at the same time here. I have already plans for my future album and stuff like that, or my future 2 albums. And I know at least one of them I don't plan to have any features at all. Like I could talk a little bit about this right now, but this next album that I'm trying to come out with is sort of just pre-planned. It doesn't have a title or anything, but I'm looking to make a more atmospheric kind of hip hop, like a dark story, maybe like a
Okay.
10-track album, where the first song has to do with the last song. Like it's a whole story throughout the entire
That's
album.
dope. I like that.
I'm
Yeah, for
gonna
solo albums for sure. You gotta more keep it to yourself. So you're not even looking for anybody for hooks or anything then.
no.
No? Damn. And speaking about features and solo albums, you got a lot of features on this one for sure. When you're hitting these people up for the features, did you have the track in mind? Like, did you have them in mind? I mean, while you're making the track, or after the track was made, you're kind of like, oh shit, G Bones will fit this, like you were saying earlier, or oh, just Pat can come on this one, or do you make it specifically for the feature you have in mind?
Well, it depends. Honestly, there's a few different ways it could go. So this is probably the most hilarious one, and I'll just be upfront. Sometimes when I'm writing a song and I feel super, super lazy and I don't feel like writing the entire 4 minutes or something like that, I'll
Yeah.
definitely, I'll definitely get a feature on, I'm like, man, I don't need 4 verses on this song. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
other times, like for example, the G Bone thing, like for Bonkers, like I explained, I didn't really have specifically him in mind at the starting of everything. I just knew I wanted somebody who brought like the quickness, that had decent like recording equipment as well, obviously. But yeah, somebody was just able to bring it from the UK. And then like I know sometimes as well, I'll send like I'll reach out to an artist and I'll be like, hey, I have this idea for a concept for a song, and then I'll send maybe like 3 beats, and then see like if you could, like for example with the Want to Know, like we were just talking about, like for having Kevin Jackson, I knew I heard him sing, I really wanted to have him on a hook, and I told him this concept of what I was trying to do, and I think I sent him a couple beats or whatever, and then this is what he sent me back this for Want to Know the hook, and I was like, Jesus, like that's pretty fucking dope, man.
Yeah. For hook wise, man, Kevin Jackson always going to get something great back. Otis Isaac's another one.
Mhm.
Great artists all around, but if they're incredible with their hooks, man.
Yeah, hook masters, man.
They definitely are. And next track we're going to go down the list is Claim Your Prize. This is the first solo track you have on this EP. How did that whole concept come about, and what do you think about it looking back on that track?
Well, this is one of the songs I had to record twice. The first time I recorded it, I didn't feel like I really brought like the proper energy to the song. And like when I listened back to it, I'm like, it sounded really bland, like really like vanilla. um, Recorded it a second time and brought a different kind of energy to it, and I really liked like the recording for this one. I feel like with more of the hooks I was doing with this album, I was trying less to be so lyrical and so like diabolic in like what I'm trying to write, and I wanted to write stuff that's more that gives people the ability to be able to sing along and like actually like do stuff. That's why like also some of them like I double up the hooks. So like if I have a hook that I'm saying twice, then I'll say it four times instead, just so like people are a
Okay.
little bit more keen on trying to like come in and be like, oh, sing along.
Yeah, we're gonna skip a little ahead on the EP here a bit, but Searching is another solo one you did, and you're talking about just that style you brought, and that whole mix on that track. I absolutely loved it. That was a trippy track, man. It kind of felt like it belonged on Deep Space with that, I don't know, the vibe of it.
Yeah, I honestly that I'm glad you actually said that, because when I was writing that song and I went in to record it, I was getting like nostalgic vibes of recording Deep Space like a few years ago with my with my engineer and stuff. But
It fit that whole vibe for sure. I'll put all links in the description below. If anybody haven't checked out Deep Space or this, definitely check it out. But it just felt like it was taken from that, like almost like it was a song you didn't put on but saved like for the EP.
yeah, no, not this one, not this. But yeah, I really like doing that one. And if you guys get the chance to listen to that, make sure you listen to it with headphones on, because the hook pans from left to right, and it's so
Yeah,
pretty.
that's the only way I listen to any people. When people send me a track and I'm not near headphones, I'm like, wait till I get home so I can throw my headphones on. Absolutely. Or in the car. The two ways I always bump the music for sure.
Yeah.
And another featured track, Dreams, with Lauren Kennedy and Buddha. And I know you guys are all close. You guys, Buddha's your brother, Lauren's your girlfriend. With this track, did you guys work on it together, or were you already had the concept and kind of just told them about it? Or did you guys all sit there and kind of build this one up together?
Well, if I'm gonna be honest with you, I love my girlfriend very much, but I'm the one that writes all the lyrics for the most part, and she just lends me her beautiful voice because she's extremely talented. But I think for this one, when I was listening, when I was listening to it at first, it gave me like a Legend of Zelda vibe, like just the beats. Like I was just listening to the
Okay.
beat by itself.
Yeah, I can see that.
Honestly, this song was gonna go a completely different way before. And yeah, I was listening to the song, and it's the hook that came to me first. I was actually at work, and I was just kind of like singing like dreaming, and like it felt like a really dreamy state of somebody dreaming of like bigger and better things. And then I sent that to my brother, and that um topic really resonated with him. He said it was one of his excuse me, most favorite like songs so far to write himself. um but yeah, basically that's how that came about. Is I just sent him the concept, he really loved it, he sent me back his verse, and then I wrote mine, and yeah,
So did
then
you
we
have the hook written first for that track for Lauren?
100%.
When you usually write, do you go hook first or verse first, or is it always just a mixture?
For I want to say for the most part it's a mixture. Like I do enjoy, I'm a really vibey person, right? So if there's a beat that's like super vibey in a way like that, I go hook first usually, because then I'm just
Yeah.
like vibing out. I'm like, yeah, and I'm trying to do stuff. And some other times when I feel more with like boom bap or like old school stuff, I just wanna drop bars. Like I
Rap.
don't.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
So if as soon as I hear that boom bap, like I'm definitely rapping right away. But if I have more of like a melodic kind of thing or something, then I'm more in my feels or trying to vibe out in a way, I guess.
Yeah, I feel you with that. The beat makes such a big difference. Like in our track, We Got It. The hook came to me the very first thing. Like I was just writing that down. I actually started off, I think, as a verse, and how I was writing it, I'm like, no, this fits the hook, man. I'm gonna use this, and I had you in mind when I started writing the track as well, because I was talking about like labels and features and anything we compared with. But yeah, I feel you on that.
It's crazy too because like I in my personal experience, like I've written some songs where it was like how I said like when I wanted to really a vivacious song, you know. um and you just like want to do the hook first, but I try to write like a verse first, and you just get writer's block because you don't like I don't really know what I'm supposed to do and like which way I'm supposed to go about this. But then as
Yeah.
soon as you do the hook and you get the vibe in, then you're like, okay, I'm talking about, you know, money and bitches and stuff, you know, like
Might as well go with it now.
exactly. So sometimes I feel like breaking it down like that makes the whole process a little bit easier because then you already know what the vibe is, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like me, I write a lot on my phone, not full things, but I'll get lyrics in my head and I'll just write them in my notepad on my phone. But sometimes you get a certain couple bars and you're like, holy shit, I can make a whole topic off these two bars. So now I got the track, you know? And now we got to go on to one track that is the definition of Bring the Bars, BTB, Lyrical Vengeance. I absolutely love this track as well. It's in my top three. Strange music vibes, BTB vibes. Was that what you're going for? Is this something you had planned to just drop a pure lyrical track on this EP?
Definitely. I do remember, so I want to say that I probably freestyled and recorded like 15 different verses to this song, dude. And like the Mr. Rhythmic sent me this beat like I want to say a year ago almost, like in December of last year. And I knew already by the length of it because it's not a very long song
No,
that
it's what, under 2 minutes, I think, isn't it?
yeah. So I knew just by the length of it, I was like, okay, well, I'm obviously gonna freestyle this beat. I'm just gonna rip it apart. But he just randomly sent that to me while I was at work, and it was like a just a video he sent me. He's like, yo, what do you think of this? I'm gonna call it Lyrical Vengeance. And he's like, and bro, I was rapping to it right away as soon as I heard it. Just this thing, like, and I'm like, I drop as soon as the beat dropped, I just dropped in and like I said, like I've not necessarily written a bunch of verses to that, but I've freestyled so many verses that I wanted to put in there. I'm like, oh, this would be so sick. But yeah, that song came out so dope, and that's like probably one of my favorite songs on the album.
Same with mine, man. That's in my top three. I told you my top three before, but that's definitely in there. And it's always fun to do those tracks, you know, and especially when you work on an album, you're trying to think of these topics, all these ideas or where to go, maybe stuff somebody hasn't thought of. But sometimes it's just fun to let loose and drop 32 bars, you know, of just pure lyrical vengeance, man.
Exactly, man. That's like the whole core concept of the song, man, is just being able to speak, just say, talk your shit, you know, like that's it.
Yeah. And another one I was so excited to see, this was even on the track list before you released the EP, you released the track list, was part two to one of my favorite tracks on Deep Space, Sudbury Slam Session Volume 2. You got the whole crew together, you guys killed it, but I noticed I don't think anybody from part one was on part two. Did you do that purposely to try to add in new artists, or like why wouldn't you use some of the ones from Volume 1?
So excuse me. Basically what the whole plan and like concept around Sudbury Slam Sessions is that I want to gather different artists every time that like we do the cipher and stuff like that, just so that first of all, it's really good for networking.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, second of all, it really puts a platform for our city. Like, say, you know, I keep doing this and it ends up Sudbury Slam Sessions Volume 10 or whatever. And that one really hits and people really enjoy it. Then they could go look back on the other ones and go see different artists and stuff. Like, what I originally planned for this, but I couldn't do obviously because of COVID and stuff, was that this was supposed to be a freshman XL cipher, double XL cipher, like type of deal,
Yeah.
but for my hometown, you know?
Were you guys like planning even a video for it?
Well, not specifically this one, but like that's originally what I wanted to do because what I had in mind was the Shady 2.0 cipher, like the
Yeah, the
slaughterhouse.
BET. Yeah, yeah,
So that's the whole vibe that I wanted to go with, and that's what I was originally planning for all of this and stuff because we have the means to do all that stuff, but it didn't really pan through because people lived in different cities, and then yeah, COVID was super serious. Like
yeah,
at that point, like right now, I'm living in Toronto. Well, been living in Toronto for a while, but at that point, I wasn't even able to go back to Sudbury. Like
yeah,
at certain places on the highways, they had cops that were like stopping people from going into the town because they didn't want Southerners, like Southern
yeah.
Ontario, Canada people to go up there. So it was
I
rough.
got that as well because North Bay, not far from Sudbury. I haven't been back to North Bay since before the pandemic, like 2018, and I have all my friends there. But also with me being in Quebec now, we couldn't even cross to Ontario for a while with the COVID shit, and that was brutal. And it's funny that you say the Shady 2.0 cipher. I had to mention this because when I did the BTB Records song on Global Domination 2 that had all the artists, I had Genesis produce the beat and I asked him to do an exclusive one for me. And I said, do something like the Shady 2.0 cipher beat. And that's because that was in my head as well. So, but yeah, that was a dope
And
track.
well,
I
first of
didn't
all,
even think
great
there was
minds
that
think
many.
alike for sure.
What's that? Sorry, you cut off a bit.
I said, well, what I was saying is that first of all, I forgot what I was trying to say. Great minds think alike is what I was trying to say. And also the Shady 2.0 cipher for like people who enjoy hip hop is super iconic,
Yeah.
super iconic, right? So I don't blame you, man.
That was my idea right away. Once you said it, I had to bring that up. Um, but yeah, Sudbury Slam Sessions Volume 2, dope sequel to it for sure. And then you end the EP with The Scary Door, which is kind of a different style than the rest of your EP. Was that planned to always be the final track? And why did you pick that track to end the album?
Well, so I had another song in mind to finish the album. The track was actually titled Many Faces and was going to feature Dead Boy Crypt that was on the first Sudbury Slam sessions. But that didn't end up getting completed in time. Um, so we went with a different idea and we made this Scary Door song. And like at the intro, all I was able to hear was the intro from Futurama where the guy talks about the scary door. So that's why I had to add it, like as the intro for the thing. And then I kind of just at first wanted to almost go with the same thing as like lyrical vengeance, but
Mm,
I also wanted like to have hooks that people could follow along with. So I feel like it fell in the realm of like between like both of those kinds of styles, right?
yeah.
And then what ends up excuse me, what ended up happening is like at the end of the song when the door slams shut and everything, basically it has two meanings. Is the first one is that the album's done and I don't gotta deal
Closing.
with it. Don't gotta deal with it anymore.
Yeah.
The album's out there now, it's in the world. And the second one is that I'm closing a certain chapter in my life, and the next album that I'm putting out that I was talking about being dark and atmospheric is
Mm.
actually starting with opening up the scary door and then
Okay.
going onwards into the scary realm of R.A.P's mind, you know?
I really like that because I found that I thought that in my head too, closing the door, closing the chapter, and I like how it's gonna lead into you reopening it. And you're saying the Futurama thing, how that like kicked in your head for the scary door. All I kept getting in my head with the title and the song is remember the intro of like, Are You Afraid of the Dark? And that door opens with the light shining through. That's what I always think of when I was checking that out.
Oh man, I didn't even think of that. That's hilarious.
Fit it perfectly. I was like, oh man, he's really going for Are You Afraid of the Dark vibes on this one.
Yeah,
And it fit because it was a darker track as well.
true.
But we're running out of time. We talked the whole EP here. I want to shout out Tune In Tuesdays. If anybody wants to check that out, link will be in the description. You do a great job with it. Play indie artists. Send your music in for real honest reviews and no pay to skip bullshit. So shout out to you on that. And before I let you go, is there anything you want to mention about what's coming up? Anything you want to plug or anything like that?
Oh damn, I got lots of stuff. So yeah, Kara's Rhythmic just came out November 16th on all streaming platforms. You guys could check that out. Um, my new album, I'm gonna be really excited to put together for you guys. It's gonna be a lot more of an experience to go through if you guys like deep space because of how the atmosphere was throughout that. You're really gonna like this album. I have loads of features and collaborations that I'm going to be finishing up and putting out throughout the year. I have some songs with Chris Calico coming out that I had purchased. Man, I got tons of stuff coming out next year. It's going to be crazy.
Perfect. Anything coming out before the end of the year?
I do want to put a song out. I'm going to record 3 songs in a few days.
What about an R.A.P. Christmas?
I don't know, man. Like, I'm trying to stay away from the holiday stuff because, I don't know. I don't know when my creativity is like really like put in a box. I feel like I'm not creative at all when I'm like really forced to like zone in on one subject.
Yeah.
I have major ADHD, so if I'm like boxed in, I'm just bouncing all over the place. So I'm not really going anywhere, you know?
Yeah. All right, man. I can't wait to hear everything you got coming. Make sure to tag me in everything you already know. And yeah, thank you for coming on, man.
No problem. Peace out, man.
Might have another BTB award winner next year for a podcast guest.
Maybe let's pray.
Let's do it. All right, man. Take it easy.
You too, man.